Have you ever stood quietly at a graveside? The world seems to hush for a moment. The birds still sing, the wind still whispers through the trees. But for those of us left standing, a question hangs in the air, silent yet heavy. It is a question we carry in the deepest parts of our hearts, whether we speak it aloud or not. What will remain of us when our time here is done? What part of our story will linger after the final chapter is written? We spend so many of our days building, gathering and striving. We chase deadlines and dreams. We fill our homes with belongings and our calendars with appointments. But when the dust settles and our journey on this earth concludes, what will be left behind? This question is not meant to bring us sadness. It is meant to bring us clarity. It is a compass for the soul, helping us navigate the choices we make every single day. We see people around us who seem to have it all. They have impressive titles, beautiful houses, and the applause of the crowd. It is easy to look at their lives and think they have made it. We might even feel a little pang of envy, a wish that our own lives had a bit more of that sparkle. We are taught from a very young age to measure success by what we can see, touch, and count. But God invites us to look deeper, to see with the eyes of eternity. He gently asks us to consider a different kind of wealth, a different kind of legacy. The Bible speaks to this very question. In the book of Psalms, the writer gives us a powerful reminder. Do not be overawed when others grow rich, it says, when the splendor of their houses increases. For they will take nothing with them when they die. Their splendor will not descend with them. That's from Psalm 49, 16, 17. Imagine that. All the gold, all the trophies, all the awards. They do not make the journey with us. They are like tickets for a train we are no longer riding. They belong to this world, and in this world they will stay. This is a truth that can set us free. It frees us from the pressure to keep up, to perform, to accumulate more than we need. It frees us to focus on what truly matters. So let us sit with this question for a moment longer. Let it settle into our spirits. What will remain? It is not a morbid thought, but a hopeful one. It points us toward a different path. A path where the value of our life is not measured by the size of our bank account, but by the size of our heart. It guides us toward a legacy not carved in stone monuments, but written on the souls of others through acts of love and kindness. God is not interested in the splendor of our houses on earth. He is interested in the home we are building for our souls in eternity, and that construction project uses materials this world cannot offer. We live in a world that loves a winner. We celebrate the person who climbs to the top of the ladder. We admire the one with the sprawling mansion and the fast car. We scroll through images of success, of luxury, of lives that seem perfect and polished. It is hard not to be impressed. The world tells us in 1,000 different ways that wealth and power are the ultimate prizes. These are the things that earn respect. These are the things that bring security. We see people who are celebrated, who are famous, whose names are known by millions, and a little voice inside us might whisper, "Why not me? Why is my life so simple, so ordinary?" This feeling is as old as humanity. It is the sting of envy. It is that quiet, gnawing feeling that someone else has received a better portion than we have. The psalmist understood this perfectly. He saw people who trust in their wealth and boast of their great riches. That's Psalm 49:6. He saw how others looked up to them, how they were honored in their generation, and he knew the temptation to feel small in their shadow. Envy is a subtle trap. It steals our joy. It makes us focus on what we lack instead of being grateful for what we have. It convinces us that our worth is tied to what we own or what we have achieved in the eyes of others. I have watched people chase after worldly success with all their might. I have seen them sacrifice their families, their health, and their peace of mind on the altar of ambition. They work longer hours, take bigger risks, and push themselves relentlessly. All for the promise of more money, more recognition, more power. For a time it might even seem like it is working. They get the promotion, they buy the bigger house, they receive the applause they so desperately craved. But I have also seen the emptiness that often follows. The thrill of the achievement fades, and they are left needing the next one and the next one to feel alive. God's perspective is so different. He looks at the heart. He's not impressed by the numbers in our bank account or the titles on our business cards. He sees past the polished exterior to the condition of our soul. He warns us not to be overawed by the wealth of others because he knows it is temporary. It is like a morning mist that looks beautiful and substantial but vanishes when the sun comes up. He is inviting us to break free from the comparison game. He wants us to find our value, not in what the world applauds, but in who He created us to be, His beloved child. Our worth is not up for debate, it was settled at the cross. There is an old saying that a funeral shroud has no pockets. Think about that for a moment. It is a simple, stark, and profoundly true statement. No matter how much a person accumulates during their time on earth, not a single penny can be taken with them on their final journey. The wealthiest king and the humblest peasant depart from this world in the same way, with nothing. The vast fortunes, the sprawling estates, the collections of art, the designer clothes, all of it remains behind. It is passed on to others, or it is scattered by the winds of time. The material things we spend so much of our lives pursuing have no currency in the land beyond the grave. The psalmist puts it so plainly: they will take nothing with them when they die. That's Psalm 49:17. This is not a guess, it is a certainty. We have all seen it happen. We have been to the funerals of people who were powerful and influential. We have seen their obituaries list their many accomplishments and their vast holdings. But in the end, they leave it all. Their hands, which once signed important documents and held symbols of power, are empty. The splendor they surrounded themselves with cannot follow them. It cannot buy them one more moment of life or 1 ounce of favor in the world to come. It is a sobering thought, but one that can lead to incredible freedom. Consider the story of a great pharaoh in ancient Egypt. He commanded armies, built massive pyramids, and was worshipped as a god. His tomb was filled with treasures of unimaginable worth: gold, jewels, and chariots, all intended for his use in the afterlife. For thousands of years that treasure lay hidden in the dark, forgotten by the world. It did him no good. It was just silent, useless metal, buried under the sand. His power, his fame, his wealth, it all stayed in the tomb. He could not take it with him. His story is a dramatic example of a universal truth. The things of this world are for this world only. They have an expiration date. This truth should change how we live. If we know that our material possessions are temporary, why do we give them so much power over us? Why do we allow them to cause us so much stress and anxiety? Why do we sacrifice the things that truly last? Our relationships, our peace, our connection with God, for things that will one day turn to dust? God is not saying that having money or a nice home is wrong. He is warning us not to put our trust in them. Do not let your heart be captivated by them. Hold them loosely. Use them for good while you have them, but never ever believe that they define you or that they can save you. They are tools for this life, not treasures for the next. Just as material riches cannot follow us beyond the grave, neither can earthly praise. The applause of the crowd is a beautiful sound, but it is also a fleeting one. Fame, recognition, and a celebrated name are powerful forces in our world. People will go to extraordinary lengths to achieve them. They long to be remembered, to have their story told, to leave a mark that says, "I was here, and I was important." They want their name to be spoken with respect and admiration. For a time they might achieve this. Their name might be in the headlines, their face on the screen. They are the center of attention, the person everyone wants to know. But how quickly that attention can fade. The world has a very short memory. The hero of today is often the forgotten name of tomorrow. New faces emerge, new stories capture the public's imagination, and the spotlight moves on. A legacy built on fame is like a sandcastle on the beach. It may be grand and impressive for a moment, but the tide of time will inevitably come in and wash it away, leaving little trace that it was ever there. The psalmist notes that even when people are praised in their lifetime, their splendor will not descend with them. The cheers and accolades do not echo into eternity. They fall silent at the edge of the grave. Think of the famous people from a generation or two ago. How many of them are still household names today? How many athletes, politicians, or movie stars who were once universally known are now remembered only by a few? Their trophies gather dust. Their newspaper clippings turn yellow and brittle. Their impact, which once seemed so immense, diminishes with each passing year. This is not a tragedy. It is simply the nature of earthly glory. It is temporary. It is dependent on the fickle memory of humanity. To build your life's meaning on such a shaky foundation is to set yourself up for disappointment. This is why God calls us to seek a different kind of honor. He invites us to live for an audience of one. He asks us to be less concerned with what people think of us and more concerned with what He thinks of us. Human praise is conditional and temporary. God's approval is eternal and unconditional, based not on our performance but on His grace. When we live to please God, we are building something that lasts. We are no longer chasing the shifting spotlight of public opinion. Instead, we are basking in the steady, unwavering light of our Creator's love. That is a fame that will never fade. If money and fame fade away, what is it that truly endures? What is the legacy that outlasts the grave and is remembered in the courts of heaven? It is not a legacy built with stone and mortar, but one built with love and compassion. It is not recorded in the history books of men, but in the heart of God. The things that seem small and insignificant to the world are the very things that are treasured in heaven. A quiet word of encouragement to someone who is struggling. A simple meal shared with a lonely neighbor. A moment of forgiveness when it would have been easier to hold a grudge. These are the building blocks of an eternal legacy. God's accounting system is radically different from ours. We count dollars. He counts acts of kindness. We measure success by promotions. He measures it by moments of mercy. The world is impressed by power and status, but heaven is moved by humility and service. When we use our time, our talents, and our resources not just for our own benefit, but to lift up others, we are making an investment in eternity. These actions might not make the evening news. They may go completely unnoticed by the world, but they are seen by God, and He forgets nothing. Every cup of cold water given in His name is remembered. Think about the people in your own life whose memory you cherish. Are they the wealthiest or most famous people you have known? Or are they the ones who showed you love? The grandmother who always had a listening ear? The teacher who believed in you when no one else did? The friend who sat with you in your darkest hour? Their legacy is not in what they owned, but in the love they gave away. That love has become a part of your story, and it will continue to ripple outward through your life into the lives of others. This is the kind of legacy that never dies. It is a spiritual inheritance, passed down from one soul to another. This is the work God calls us to. He asks us to shift our focus from accumulating to giving, from being impressive to being present. He wants us to build a life that will leave behind echoes of grace and compassion. This is a legacy that is available to everyone, regardless of their station in life. You do not need to be rich or famous to be a powerful force for good in the world. You just need a heart that is willing to love, a hand that is willing to help, and a spirit that is tuned to the needs of others. This is the legacy that is written in heaven's ink, and it will never fade. In any kingdom, there is a currency, a standard of value that determines what is important. In the kingdoms of this world, that currency is often power, influence, and wealth. People strive to accumulate as much of it as they can, believing it will bring them security and significance. But in the kingdom of God, the currency is entirely different. It is not gold or silver, but love. It is not status or titles, but mercy. It is not public recognition, but quiet acts of faithfulness. These are the treasures that have value in God's economy, the things He looks for in the hearts of His children. The Bible tells us that faith, hope, and love are the things that remain, and the greatest of these is love. This is the currency of heaven. God does not ask, how much did you own? He asks, how much did you love? He is not interested in the size of our home, but in how often we opened its doors to others. He is not impressed by our resume, but by the moments we stopped to show kindness to the overlooked and forgotten. This perspective changes everything. It means that the most valuable work we can do might be the work that no one else sees. It is the patient prayer, the gentle answer, the selfless act of service. I have learned this lesson not only from Scripture but from watching the lives of faithful people. I have known individuals who had very little in the way of worldly possessions. They lived in simple homes and had humble jobs. By the world standards, they were not successful, but their lives were incredibly rich. They were rich in relationships. They were rich in generosity. They were rich in peace. They understood the currency of God's kingdom, and they invested their lives wisely. They poured their energy into loving God and loving the people He placed in their path. Their lives were a beautiful testament to the truth that our real worth is not found in what we have, but in what we give. So, how do we begin to accumulate this heavenly treasure? We do it one small choice at a time. We choose kindness over criticism. We choose forgiveness over bitterness. We choose to serve rather than to be served. We choose to trust in God's provision rather than anxiously striving for more. Each time we make one of these choices, we are making a deposit in our eternal account. We are building a treasure that moths and rust cannot destroy and that thieves cannot steal. We are learning to value what God values, and in doing so, we are finding a joy and a purpose that the world can never offer. So we return to our original question: what will remain? The answer is now clearer. What remains is not the house we built on earth, but the one we have been building in heaven. What remains is not the echo of our name, but the echo of our love. What remains is every act of goodness, every gesture of mercy, every moment of faith. These are the things that God remembers. While the world may forget our accomplishments and our name may fade from memory, our Creator holds the story of our love in His heart forever. This is the ultimate hope, the final comforting truth. Your true legacy is not something you leave behind, but something you send ahead. Every time you choose love, you are sending a treasure to your eternal home. Every act of kindness, no matter how small or unseen, is noticed by your Father in heaven. The world may celebrate the grand and the spectacular, but God celebrates the faithful and the humble. He sees the quiet prayer whispered for a friend. He sees the gentle patience with a difficult person. He sees the generosity that comes from a place of scarcity. These are the moments that build a life of true and lasting significance. Do not be discouraged if your life feels simple or ordinary. Do not despair if you do not have the wealth or the fame that the world so admires. Your worth is not measured by these things. Your true worth is found in the love of God, a love that was so great He gave His only Son for you. Live in that love. Let it be the foundation upon which you build your life. Let it be the motivation for all that you do. Seek to build a legacy of compassion, of grace, and of faith. This is a legacy that will endure long after the monuments of this world have crumbled to dust. In the end, what will remain is this: God's unwavering love for you and the love you have shown to others. He remembers, He sees, He treasures every good deed, every loving word. Let this knowledge fill you with peace and purpose. You are building something eternal. You are creating a legacy that will never fade. The world may not applaud, but all of heaven will. And in the arms of your loving Father, you will find that every act of love was worth it. That is the promise. That is what endures.